Welcome. Welcome to this Cancer new moon. And I'm going to talk on Cancer and the divine feminine, but especially as how it relates, how recent events are highlighting our need to address the balance of the energies between especially the masculine and the feminine and the way we live and love on this planet. It's quite a long talk, so we'll see how we get on. Lots to think about, but I've tried to pull in both an understanding of Cancer, but bring it in looking at it through this particular lens and make it very relevant to what's happening here and now. So the sun entered Cancer this year on the summer solstice, and we've felt these energies since. They came to a peak on the full moon a few days later, and all that was revealed in that quite prominent time energetically is coming to fruition in this new moon energy, and with an impetus to enact positive change in our lives. So the new moon reaches its zenith tonight, 2:16 a.m. in the morning, but we're right in the energy of it now. The keynote for Cancer is I build a lighted house and therein dwell. Sometimes house and home are interchanged. So I build a lighted house, home, and therein dwell. So in Cancer, we find a very strong need to find a true home, a place where you belong. Cancer rules the mother energy, Mother Earth, our planet, creation, our home, as well as the family. And this is both our genetic family, our spiritual family, and our part in the human family. So she will bring to the surface any issues we have personally or collectively with respect to our home, both our home within ourselves, because remember that the soul is the home for the personality, the body is the vehicle or the home for the soul. In our physical home, in our planetary home, in our family, in the greater human family. And this balance of the divine masculine and feminine energies is going on both within us and at play in the way that we live our lives and influences us. So the feminine qualities, just to ensure we know what we're talking about when I say feminine and masculine qualities, feminine qualities are receptivity, to receive, sensitivity, expansion, openness, love, warmth, emotional security, emotional expression, to embrace the new, to develop, grow and flourish. The mother energy of nurturing, cooperation, to integrate, to synthesize, to create, to reveal beauty, to harmonize, to unify. It's understanding, or that which stands under. It's empathy, gentleness, kindness, inclusivity, compassion, reflection, introspection, intuition, insights from our higher realms, and communication. So you start to get a feel for what these feminine qualities are. The feminine is to be, to go inward, to connect. It's the yin energy of darkness, the womb, winter, Mother Earth, the energy of the moon, of nature, of the water element, of stillness, and it's very subjective. So female energy is both material and spiritual. So within its synthesis, you have creation itself taking place, whether it's a child, a galaxy, a universe, a cell, or an idea. It's spiritual in terms of connection, expansion, growth, being receptive and opening especially to higher intuitive understanding and spiritual energies. It's the channel that enables us to bring down those higher spiritual energies and insights. Cancer rules the home, Mother Earth, our planetary home, the family, but especially the great mother principle of creation and nurturing. It also rules the intuitive wisdom that comes from the Buddhic plane. It rules mass consciousness, it rules Christ consciousness and its qualities of forgiveness and unconditional love. So that gives you a feel for the feminine qualities. The masculine qualities or masculine energies are to focus and concentrate, to come to a point. So feminine was expansive, masculine is to come in and narrow to a point, to achieve a goal. It involves competition, aggression, protection, security. It is the will energy, hard work, determination. It involves delving into things with a single focus like we do in research. It's grounded in materialism, in matter, in the earth. It's a penetrating intelligence that uses analysis, getting to the core of a matter. It's to provide what is needed, making use of resources to produce. It's about power and control, life. It's about movement. So feminine was stillness, masculine is movement. It's often isolation or single focus to achieve a goal. So the masculine is to do, whereas the feminine was to be. The masculine is to express in the world, whereas the feminine was to go inward and retreat from the world, to be more receptive inwardly. The masculine is the yang energy of light, heat, metabolism, fire, summer, sunshine. It's about movement, and it tends to be more objective. So ideally, we have a harmony and a balance between these two principles, like we find in the Taoist yin-yang symbol. Through the union, the masculine grounds us to the material world and enables the feminine spiritual energies to come through to spiritualize matter. So you can see that union is vitally important. In the way that we live, the past 5,000 years or so, we've had a dominance of masculine energy and values, and these qualities form the basis of and define our culture. We have persecuted, to be honest, and degraded the feminine. This is slowly changing, but I believe one of the reasons for the current world situation is to highlight this imbalance, the conflicts, and lead eventually to resolution and better harmony and balance between the two. But this will involve massive change, and there is considerable resistance to this. And we're in the thick of change and resistance and division in many aspects of life, and this is part of what's going on. So the overemphasis of the masculine has created greed, materialism, and power struggles in a capitalist competitive economic environment. It's depleted the natural resources of our planet through a complete loss of connection and respect for her as a living being, and an attitude of domination rather than living in cooperation with her. Many indigenous cultures have a very different relationship with Gaia than we do in the West. We've accepted and worked from an ideology that really goes back to Darwin's views of scarcity, fighting for survival, the fittest, trying to control each other and life on the planet. We're not looking after our human family or our planetary home. So this imbalance has caused a huge divide and misunderstanding between men and women. It's caused radical changes in our roles and expectations, with a growing lack of trust and respect often between the sexes, making sustaining healthy equal partnerships a real challenge, with the very real risk of a complete breakdown in our capacity to come together in harmony and create a home in which family thrives. Remember, family is the first place that a newly incarnated soul emerges into the material world of form. And this environment, especially the emotional environment, the astral environment, has the potential to nurture or challenge that soul's growth and development. So the recent pandemic has highlighted a lot of our current masculine-centered values. These are the ones we have defaulted to respond to a crisis. And this, how we've responded, reflects this. The feminine response has been present, but not the main. I think we saw more of it when we first responded to the pandemic than we are seeing now. And you can have a think about that. I leave that one with you. So we've not responded as a unified humanity in a way that shares, cares, and looks after its own, comes together and thrives in adversity and in response to a global challenge, cooperating with compassion and kindness to ensure the safety and prosperity of all, respecting our fellow human beings and our planet herself. We've seen many examples of amazing human behavior, but an inherent selfishness and self-centeredness, power and control, manipulation have very definitely come to the surface. We've seen much of what is inherently wrong in our society, revealing the corruption, the power struggles, the use of fear to manipulate, isolate, and control behavior. We've experienced censorship of independent thought and sources, the manipulation of information and science to divide, induce fear and compliance. There's been an erosion of personal freedom, of choice about your health, your family, whether you can work, where you work, who you see, live with, hug, and even your right to voice protest, all in response to a threat from a virus that in many cases we have to test to know we have it. And statistically is no more deadly than the normal yearly flu virus. I have very deep, excuse me, compassion for those who've lost their health, their lives, their loved ones, their livelihood as a result of COVID. But I believe in hindsight, we will come to see that the response to the coronavirus globally has been far out of proportion to the threat, with many questioning the underlying motives behind this orchestrated response of control and fear. People have become so fearful that they will do whatever they are told to resume life as normal, socially interacting human beings again, without question and without inner reflection and connection to their discerning mind and inner intuitive guidance from their higher self. Fear has become our main driver in response to this challenge. Now, Neptune rules Cancer, both esoterically and hierarchically, but it's the pure energy of Neptune is often veiled by the moon, which is Cancer's orthodox ruler. In its highest expression, Neptune is the journey from the darkness to the light, from a sense of positive disillusionment and the glamours of the emotional astral plane across the illusion of the mental plane to a state of pure reason and direct communication with the higher self. This is spiritually a return to your true self, or to come home. In this state, the mind becomes simply a transmitter of the clear light of understanding into a still calm, in the still calm waters of the emotional nature. Remember, the soul is the home of the personality. When you access Neptune in its highest expression, you access your own Buddhic qualities. So your astral emotional body will eventually become a quiet reflector of your intuition. In Buddhism, when emotions are still and calm, the clear light of the mind can be accessed. So the mass media and the fear has caused great waves and turbulence in our astral emotional nature, pulling us into fear, doubt, uncertainty, overwhelm. What do we do? How do we respond? Clouding our discriminative mind, misinformation obscuring the truth, censorship of the information we may need to make informed decisions. And so this does not allow us to access that pure reason, that Buddhic intuition, because we're in this turbulence of the emotional response to a global crisis. Now, if you simply disconnect from the media that pulls you this way and that emotionally and go within to seek counsel and truth, you can bring the emotional nature back to peace and calm. You can still those waters. And you'll actually find if you turn it off altogether, you're very much unaffected. You can maintain a compassionate but detached perspective on things. You still have your discriminative mind to access information and run it through your own internal truth to see how it resonates and what is right for you, to seek guidance from within. So there's a need to disconnect from the mass response. And remember, I said Cancer rules mass consciousness. The mass consciousness is probably not the best source of wisdom and guidance at the moment. We need to reclaim family values, essential human dignity and goodness. We need to reclaim the feminine, rebalance the feminine within ourselves, and as a society and as a humanity to restore this wholeness. So the feminine power lies within all of us, and its very nature is inward, it's silent, it's nurturing, and it's healing. If you remove yourself from the masculine energies of the world, which are very active and external, forceful, and quite often assertive, you find the source of your feminine. If you connect with Mother Nature, you find the source of your feminine. Love, compassion, nurturing, and healing all exist at source. These are soul qualities. They exist at our source, in our home, when we come home to the truth within us. And when we do this, we then radiate these values and the power of the feminine. And this changes the atmosphere of wherever we are. It touches hearts wherever we are and revives the soul in others wherever we are. And in the silence, we acquire a certain presence and a certain power. It's not a masculine, forceful power. No, it's a deep, quiet, empowering power that I would call feminine power. And it's within all of us, whether we're male or female, it doesn't matter. And this returns us to a state of empowered love. And there's an impetus to work together, to find a way to get through this together, to help others, to access cooperation and compassion and those feminine qualities that I mentioned earlier. So remember, our soul is both masculine and feminine, and they're unified in pure energy. Without the balance, our being is completely destabilized, and this disparity really does stall our spiritual growth. So there's a beautiful alchemical marriage of these divine energies, and I believe it's this marriage, this union, this coming back into balance and harmony that will save us. And that's both within us and our response to what's going on in the world. If you're starting to feel overwhelm, uncertainty, it's getting to you, you got to get back to some of that feminine. You've got to ground your energy in the earth and in what's important in your home, your inner home, your planetary home, and in those inherent family values. So Cancer, part of the role of Cancer is to establish and build foundations. So building the foundations for the life we're going to move into as we come out of this world crisis. So not necessarily return to normal, because I'm not so sure normal was the best possibility. I think there are far better ways to live than the way we were living. And this is an opportunity to move into something new and fresh, expansive and open, those feminine qualities. So it's the responsibilities of those with soul contact to help in this process, because the majority of humanity is still at what we call the mutable cross stage and have not yet fully awoken to soul consciousness. But I also believe that this pandemic is awakening people. I think this is on a higher level part of its reason and role. There are many hearts. People are making what we call a second initiation, moving into truly lifting up out of the pull of their emotional desire nature and being able to lift up into the qualities of forgiveness and understanding, acceptance, compassion. There are many undeveloped astral bodies, but these are being challenged, and people are starting to seek answers outside of the usual way of doing things because it hasn't worked particularly well. The discriminative mind of many is not yet functioning, but again, people are starting to wake up and question, and this is great. So I believe mass initiation into the heart, into the Christ consciousness is possible as a result of what's gone on in the world in the last 18 months. And those who are aware of this play a leading role. And you simply lead by example of how you live and love in your life, how much heart energy, how much balance you have between the masculine and the feminine in your life. So Neptune, the soul ruler, is the god of the waters. He rules the astral emotional body and the solar plexus chakra, which is the seat of fear and doubt. And these waters need to flow. So the fear and doubt flows out and is transmuted up into the heart chakra, into the energies of love and compassion, trust, these qualities that will shift us into a place where we can move forward and create a new world. The moon is having its input in here. So the moon very much is hides what's dark and hidden, what needs redemption. I believe this pandemic is helping to reveal what we call the dweller on the threshold for humanity, the sum total of all that needs redeeming within mankind. And I mentioned some of the sort of selfishness and the isolation and the power and the manipulation and the control. These are all glamours and illusions that we need to redeem as a collective family. And they'll become increasingly, as people wake up, those who are working with the cardinal signs will know that Cancer is one of the cardinal signs, with Capricorn, Libra, and Aries being the others. And these signs offer doorways or windows for bringing in the higher spiritual energies. So it's about seeking counsel within rather than seeking counsel from mass fear-inducing media. It's about looking at your own life, and do you have a balance between the masculine and the feminine? Do you value being as much as doing? Do you have that balance within you? Can you radiate those qualities of the feminine? So Cancer is about creating the lighted house now that we are emerging from a dark prison of isolation and lockdown. And we need to be very clear about what sort of society we want to create, what values will serve us best now, because the values of the past, I do not believe still serve us. And I believe that this pandemic has shown us they no longer serve us. We need to really question them, and questioning and debate, and is healthy debate and uncensored and free debate is what we need. So it's time for spiritual reflection. It's time for positive discussion. It's time for that solar plexus fear and doubt that has kept so many damped down over this last 18 months to shift and lift up into the light of the heart and build that house. Because your home, Cancer rules the home, and remember I said this deep longing to find your true home where you truly belong. And of course, home is where the heart is, in terms of where you retreat from the world and can recharge and be yourself, find love, grow, heal, and know that you belong. But it's also, you know, it's your home in terms of being like the prodigal son who comes home. You come home to your true self. So your soul connection is coming home. It's also home in terms of finding a spiritual group of like-minded, heart-attuned, energy-resonating souls who through communion and sharing enable you to feel the bonds of brother and sisterhood and part of the human family in a way that lately we felt there's been a lot of derision, a lot of division. In the last 18 months, we've been confined to our homes, and our families have been defined not necessarily by our hearts, but by rules imposed upon us. And we felt the absence of human connection, touch, and love. Many have not only been physically isolated, but have become psychologically isolated, unable to find the path of truth through the conflicting science, media, controversies, and continually changing and conflicting advice. They've chosen to simply take the path of least resistance and do as they're told, trusting blindly that this will enable them to get back to normal life and normal human interaction and connection again as soon as possible. Yet the nightmare continues. And for many, there's a growing sense of desolation. And I know amongst young people, talking to my children and their friends, this is a very real problem. They are losing hope and they are losing trust in the future. People are losing hope. They're starting to question whether they trust the system to operate for their highest good. There's a growing understanding that our home is not just a building, but it's a place where there's a need for connection and love. Is our human family really a healthy family based on the highest qualities of love, the best values, working together for the good of all of its members? Or have we become a fearful, divided family immersed in fear, doubt, and very vulnerable to control? I believe we've not yet seen the true cost of our response to this virus in terms of our mental and emotional health. Rates of depression, anxiety, addiction, I think they will truly emerge in pandemic proportions. But this need will spark a resurgence and a new respect for the feminine, as it's only the feminine energies that can heal and restore the peace of those who are suffering. You think of those feminine qualities, that's what we're going to need to restore the emotional and mental health of people who have reached the end of all they've got. So I see this global event as a major wake-up call. And in the energies of Cancer, a call to return to the feminine and work together in unity to bring her healing, expansive, integrating, synthesizing, cooperative and compassionate qualities back into the balance. So those are my thoughts on where we're now. And perhaps that might give you a few things to think about. And we'll have some time for some questions and comments and discussions after the meditation. So I just want to share. Okay, that didn't work. I'll try again. Yes. So meditation is an inward reflective process. When we go into meditation, we are accessing those higher Buddhic qualities within us. When we come together in a group meditation, we're coming together as a family. And this is a very powerful process for change. This radiates out and changes the energy of the astral or emotional nature of our whole human family. And there are groups all over the world working in this way who understand that working subjectively can be as powerful, if not more powerful, than working objectively in the world. And we need both. So when we work in group meditation, you could say we're working on the inner planes to enact and have positive effect on the outer planes that we call life on this material planet. So know that this is a service from the heart. this is accessing your divine feminine and bringing it through in service to your family. So this is why it's such a powerful thing to do and such a rewarding thing to do. So I thank you for joining me in this group meditation, and especially in this powerful energy of the Cancer new moon. So we're going to bring our hearts together in brother and sisterhood through reciting the affirmation of love. And these words have powerful energies. They are recited by people all over the world, and they unite us. So let everything that I've talked about go. And let's just together, either silently or out loud, repeat this affirmation of love. So in the center of all love, I stand. From that center, I, the soul, will outward move. From that center, I, the one who serves, will work. May the love of the divine self be shed abroad in my heart, through my group, and throughout the world. So gently close your eyes. And I want to connect with our planetary home, with our mother, with the creative mother energy. So I want you to imagine that you're sending roots down into the earth, deep into her core, into her heart, either through your feet or through the base chakra at the bottom of your spine. And now I want to bring your awareness into the present moment. So just be aware of your body sitting on the chair. Be aware of the clothes on your skin. And now take this awareness to your sense of hearing and simply listen to the sounds of this moment. Now take this awareness to your breath. And just become aware of your breath as it comes into your body and aware of your breath as it leaves. And just allow this gentle focus on the breath to begin to take you inward. And just allow your body to begin to relax. Taking your breath a little deeper into your body with each cycle. And just imagine that you are opening a channel deep in the center of you, until it's comfortable to breathe down into your belly. Slowly, deeply. With your awareness resting on the breath. And just continue to follow the breath and let it take you down into a stillness that's found deep within you. As you focus on the breath, just allow thoughts to pass. Allow them to come into your mind, pass by, and pass on out, while you keep a gentle focus on your breath. And just return to that focus on the breath whenever your mind is distracted. Now bring your awareness to the center of your chest and just gently breathe into your heart center. Imagine your heart filling with light and love and with gratitude that will open this center like a flower bud opens into full bloom. We establish a connection with our higher self through the heart center. Now visualize white or violet purple or gold light coming down from your higher self, and it is pouring down through the crown of your head, pouring down through the major energy centers or chakras in your body, bringing them into perfect vertical alignment and interplay and a balance of energies. Imagine your heart is acting as a vessel to receive and distribute this lighted love throughout your body. Imagine your whole physical body is filling with this purifying, cleansing, healing light. It is both strengthening your physical body and your immune system, calming your emotions and bringing clarity to your mind. It is bringing you into a state of wholeness, interconnectedness. It is bringing you home. Now allow this lighted love to start to flow out into your etheric energy body, or the aura that surrounds your physical body, so that your whole being is filled with lighted love. I want you to imagine this energy flowing out into your home, touching all living creatures, all living beings in your home, into your family. Now let it flow out into your street, into the homes of your neighbors, to fill your whole neighborhood. To fill your community, touching the hearts and minds of all, whether consciously or unconsciously. Continue to radiate this lighted love out to encompass the whole of your town or city. Now imagine that your light is connecting with the light from all those joining us in this group meditation, whether live or via the recording, and allow this light to fill our nation. Now let this light fill this part of the world. This hemisphere. And flow out to encompass the southern hemisphere until together we encompass the whole of the world and the whole of our human family and our planetary home. Now know that we join with numerous groups all over the world who are working with the light, with love, with the divine feminine energies of connection and brotherhood and sisterhood in this way. And we join with them. Now imagine you can see our planet as if from space, and see this lighted love surrounding her like an aura. Dissolving all energies that are not resonant with light and love and the will to good. See this light flowing down into our planet, healing her, allowing her to restore the balance in nature so that the air and the waters are clean and pure. She has a healthy ozone layer, and our natural ecosystem is healed and restored. See our relationship with our Mother Earth restored to one that is healthy and respectful. See all the animal and plant life flourishing. And again, our relationship restored, right relations with these kingdoms of living beings. See this lighted love flowing into the hearts and minds of all of our human family. Bringing peace, goodwill, right relations within individuals, bringing the balance of the masculine and the feminine energies, bringing balance and harmony between individuals, healing within families, bringing harmony from conflict, healing within communities and nations, between nations, a healing that involves the whole human family. Lifting our awareness and the collective consciousness so that we can learn to live in peace and in harmony with all. Visualize these energies unifying and eliminating all divisions, all conflicts within humanity, dissolving power struggles, control, healing and transforming human consciousness, and establishing right human relations. Continue to hold this vision for a new future for the human family on our beautiful planet Earth. Hold a space in your heart for this vision and let the energy continue to radiate out. Oh, excuse me, I invite you to repeat the Great Invocation together, either silently or aloud. But when you repeat it with conviction. And we pause between each stanza to imagine the words being played out. And this real world prayer acting as a link between the inner spiritual realities and humanity, and as a channel through which divine love and light and purpose can flow into human consciousness. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. Namaste. And of course, when you chant the you come into alignment and resonance with the power of creation. It's a very powerful thing to do, especially in this time. Right. What I'm going to do now is allow you to unmute if you want to, if you have something you want to add, questions, comments, or if you want to, you can always post them in the chat and I can read them out and we can discuss them. So if I need to put you on grid so I can see you all. If anyone has anything they would like to add or ask, fire away. Michael, yeah, unmute.
We've missed you, Teresa, and we've missed your wisdom. And that was an exceptionally good and kaleidoscopic talk that covered a whole range. There's a lot to think about in there.
Mm.
And so my first comment is just to thank you for that, and just it reminds us all that we have kind of our spiritual obligations, and it's good to be kind of rejoined in this setting under this context. And for that, I thank you very much. You're doing us all a great service by carrying this out. And I just want to kind of throw something out there for more discussion, is about the idea that we're being polarized, and we have kind of the, let's just say, the more kind of mentally and spiritually independent, and then there's a lot of people are kind of caught up in the fear.
Yeah.
And our roles, if you like, can be quite hard to express ourselves, and as much as we may have certain insights, but I suppose it's how receptive the greater world is, and we just have to rely upon kind of providence, if you like, to let people cross our paths that we can help, and not try and become evangelical about it. But I just wondered if you want to expand on that at all.
No, good, really good point there, Michael, because you can't sort of preach and be evangelical about it. If people are asking and curious and seeking answers, good debate and discussion is always valuable. But no, there is a lot of division. It's almost being created, divide and conquer, I think, in a way. We're very polarized, and it's becoming increasingly, people are becoming increasingly reticent to voice an opinion, to have a view, especially in certain circles. And that's, I remember when we first went into lockdown, if you remember right back, if you can remember, there was a big push for doing what you could, washing your hands, looking out for your neighbor. People were shopping for each other. There was much more of what I would call a feminine response initially. We were clapping for the NHS. We were really supportive. We're in this together. There was far less fear and much more bringing out the human spirit. And then as it went on and people started to become bombarded with fear, and that survival instinct, that selfish, what about me, has come out more. And I think we're seeing that even more now, because people are really hurting. Many people, especially in terms of their livelihood, of their security, of their financial security. And they're aware that, we're not out of this yet. There's a lot of repercussions to come. And I think I've watched that sort of initial response, and we've slid, we're all looking to the government to sort it out, to science to sort out. We're not boosting our immune systems. There's not as much care and compassion. People are closing down on their view, and they're joining one camp or another. They're not being open to discussion and to other views, and maybe to independent sources of information other than the one that they find on the television.
And also, I think increasingly science is becoming the arbiter of kind of truth and wisdom.
Yeah. And people are forgetting that inside of you, your soul has three qualities, and that is truth, beauty, and goodness. And that means that we all have within us a beautyometer, a truthometer, and a goodnessometer. We have an inherent capacity to recognize the resonance and the vibration and the feel of truth. And often truth, the way that truth is used to manipulate, is there'll be an essence of truth in it, but not the whole truth, or all of the truth, or the complete truth. And so people are like, yeah, I can feel the truth in that, but there's still a bit, I'm not sure. And that is a very valid response from deep in here. Question it, question it. And even science, we've seen really, I think, the way science can be manipulated. You know, it's not infallible. Not all scientific studies are equal. Not all scientists are equal. And you know, if you've got to question, if a scientist is working for a drug company, they're not independent. You know, we've just got to use our common sense. And I think sometimes it's common sense that has sort of gone. That there's an inherent, and this is why I say almost going back to some essence of goodness that's within us. You know, forgetting about, I'll tell you an example, in a yoga class that I took when we're all kind of distancing and following the rules, and a lady fainted and was in trouble, and we didn't worry about masks or not going straight to her, and we were there, and there was human contact and reassuring her and looking after her, and it was only when the paramedics arrived that we had to put our masks on. So that to me was an example. We didn't follow the rules because there was a human need beyond those rules. We were coming from a place in our heart and responding in a genuine and authentic way because that person needed our care and they needed our understanding and our help. And we just acted without thinking, without following any rules. And that I felt that in the room, that response, and that was a lovely response to see, because that is our essential human spirit. That is our home. That's when we're responding from our home within our heart, within ourself. So it is extremely difficult time to navigate. And like I say, I think we will see a resurgence in the respect and value for the feminine, because so much of the pain that we're going to see in people, so many of the challenges that we will be facing, I believe, in the next little while, will only be healed by the feminine, by those feminine qualities. And that I'm hoping that will, shift things. People will realize, people start coming together and realizing the power of coming together. We may see, things like mass protests because people are starting to question. And this is all good, because I believe that this really is a time, this is a catalyst, this is a major spiritual time, a major event in the history, the spiritual evolution, the collective evolution of mankind. I don't, this poor little virus has got a lot of bad press. It's when I say that, it's been blown out of proportion, that this awful virus, there are far worse viruses that we have coped with. It's just that we've had a global response to it, that it's been so scary. And because of the nature of that response, that's the thing. You've got to separate the virus from our response to it. And if you can do that, you can step up to a higher view. And that's a feminine way. That's an expansive way of looking at it. We're not narrowing down. We're stepping up and we're trying to look at a big picture view. And we're saying, if you were looking down at our planet, if you were from an alien planet and you saw our response to this little virus and you saw the whole picture, how would you view it then? And if you can look at it from that point of view, because really that's the way your soul sees it from that big picture. And I think when you can do that, you're pulling out of all the detail and out of all the conflict and the confrontation, and this person said that and this person said that, and I've been told this and I've been told that, and you're looking at it from a different perspective, and you will find that the fear melts away. Because when you open up your perspective, you open to love, you open to that feminine, you open to an expansive view. And it's only when we open and expand that we open to new solutions and new ways of seeing things. Okay, when we narrow down, we contract and we're limited to what we already know or what we've done in the past. When we open, we're opening to universal wisdom that comes through us, and solutions we haven't even thought about. This we could, I hope, look back and say, do you know what, 2020, 2021, really tough times, but the best time for humanity. Look at the changes that set off. Look how it was a catalyst for change. Look how it changed the relationships between men and women, between the masculine and the feminine. Look how it dissolved the power struggles in the world. Look how it built community. This is a golden opportunity, but I'm just not sure that we're doing our best with it. Has anybody else got questions or comments? I know I've talked about a lot. Yeah, Bernie, go for it.
I won't keep you long. It's been exceptional what you've talked about today, Teresa, because I've been haunted by fear and insomnia the last 18 months. And now I think I can take a broader look through meditation. I also use some flower essences, they're called moon essences, for the different stages of the moon cycle. So I'm taking one this week for the new moon, which contains white orchid for acceptance, wild rose for converting apathy to vital energy. So I really recommend these. And also, the other thing I'm surprised about is the lack of awareness of self-nurturing in building up our own immunity in terms of lifestyle and nutrition and herbs and supplements. I'm surprised that government haven't given an evidence-based way of doing this so we can prevent the disease instead of all this paranoia we've got. And lastly, I just want to ask you very quickly, there's been an increase in conflict in the last 18 months. And I've experienced it when people get too close or they're not wearing a mask when they should be. And what do you recommend when you feel a lack of respect from somebody in terms of being too close or whatever? Do you challenge them or what?
No, it's very simple. With any energy situation where you're feeling a challenge, an attack, somebody is too close, you feel uncomfortable energetically, send them love, send them lots and lots of love, and it would just dissolve away. You'll be surprised. If they don't resonate with love, they'll move away. And if they resonate with love, they'll lift into that resonance. So you just change the vibration around you and it will change the vibration around you. So quite often our response is fear, or anger, that's just going to make the response worse. So if we understand energy, as soon as someone is just send them love. I've done this in conflict situations, and it's within a few minutes you're laughing with the person. You're like, how did that it just dissolves it, because love is connection. So you're saying energetically, remember, you're asking that being to remember that we are unified. That's all you're doing. When you send them love, you're saying, remember, we're connected. And maybe their behavior wasn't resonating with that, and they will remember on a completely unconscious level, but nevertheless, often their behavior changes. And it's your best protection. It's your only protection, really. But no, I echo what you say, Bernie, about the lack of self-nurturing, which obviously is also that feminine quality of nurturing and care. Why are we not, having lessons for every child who's online about their immune system, about what they can do, about how they can help their parents, about eating, about exercise, about connecting with nature? Why are we not being proactive rather than sort of huddling in fear and waiting for a substance we inject into our body to do that for us? Because it's only one small part of it anyway. Even if it is successful, it's the immune system is infinitely complex and infinitely linked to your emotional state. And that's a key. In many ways, it doesn't matter what you eat, what you take, what you do for your immune system. If you are in fear, your immune system will not be functioning well.
Yeah. That's great. Now, yeah, and that's been I've done research on cancer and the immune system, and people who are more positive about their outcome of cancer live longer than those who don't. And people don't. When you're isolated or in lockdown, your immune system is suppressed because of the fear.
It's the worst thing you can do for the immune system, really, is to take away that human contact, that interaction with others, that care. I mean, you know yourself, when you were a child, if you fell over and grazed your knee, you wanted your mum to give you a hug and make it better. You know, your instant response is to seek another human being to interact with when you're feeling hurt and vulnerable. And, you know, we haven't been able to do that. We've been told we're not allowed to do that. We've been told we're putting other people at risk when we do that. And that has really affected our psyche, you know, from a natural way of being as humans, you know, and in many families, you know, they've been put in a melting pot of all their family issues and conflicts. Let's lock you down and put that family together and let them brew. You know, if you've got abuse and you've got addictions and all sorts of situations and no one coming in to help. And so we've got lots of, I believe, effects that are far more of a threat than the threat of the virus. Now, the virus, yes, is more of a threat to some people. Why did we not just really care and teach those people how to care? Keep contact with them, keep the nurturing, keep the communication, keep the love, rather than making them sort of feel like they've got to move out of society. Still make sure we're embracing them as part of community. This community cares about you, and so we're going to help you through this, because, you know, like it says when I'm in Morrison's, we're all in this together. And I always laugh when I hear it come over the intercom, because I think, well, we're not behaving like we are. We're really not. So this is where just taking that, like Bernie said, if you can lift up and just see it from a broader viewpoint, it all sort of starts to move and your perspective changes. So really, one of the fundamental things that you can do as a service to yourself and to humanity is to meditate, to go inward and seek your own counsel, to build that lighted house within and within there dwell. That's the message of this new moon. It's not about our houses and you know, the light in our houses, although the energy in our houses is related to the energy in our heart house, but it's about building that house so that when you go out into the world, whenever you come in contact with anyone, with those little babies who have been born in the pandemic, who are used to fear responses from strangers, who don't see people's faces, who don't, you know, who are going to grow up thinking the world is a very strange place in the world of human interaction. You know, those, I so feel for children who've been born in this time, or new mothers who have been isolated with babies in this time, or there's so many things that we need love and nurturing and care to heal as a result of what's gone on in the last 18 months. And, you know, I still see it positively. I still see that it's brought all that we need to address. It's bringing it to the surface. And so in your own, you know, in your own integral self, it will bring up things that are specific for you. Don't run away from them. Face them head on and deal with them. Move through the darkness into the light, like that energy of Neptune. And this has been a tough month. I think for many people, they were okay until we hit this Cancer energy, and they're struggling with it. It's a very difficult energy to navigate. So we've got to, you know, we've got to set our sail, we've got to align our compass, and we've got to navigate these waters on that boat that's our home, our true home. So I'm hoping that I've given you lots to think about.
That's lovely. I'm speechless. I'm speechless. Your wisdom, yeah, thank you.
That's lovely. Thank you for that feedback. And you know, this is recorded, so if you want, I know I've thrown a lot of ideas, a lot of things to think about, so go back and watch the recording again. You know, go back and do the group meditation. When you work in group meditation, time and space don't exist. You can join that and still have an effect at any time. That's why it doesn't matter whether you're here live or you're joining it with the recording, or you're joining it with a recording 6 months later. It doesn't matter. It's all still an act of service. And you know, it's getting back in touch with your feminine. It really is your nurturing energy, your love of humanity and desire to do something to make a difference. So if nobody else has got any more questions, you're looking a bit dazed, so I think I've given you plenty to think about. Thank you very much for joining me this evening, and go and have a lovely evening. Namaste.